standing at the top of your mat. Open your fingers wide, reaching down towards the earth. Inhale, sweep the hands up overhead. Exhale, take your right hand to the side of your ear, reaching the left hand down to the mat, and lean your head over to the side. Inhale brings both hands back up, left hand to the side of the head, reaching the right fingertips down to the mat. Inhale, both hands up high. Exhale to fold forward. Inhale, lift up halfway, look up. Float the hands down to the mat, step the feet back. Elbows come in tight, drop the knees, open the heart, gaze is up. Tuck the toes under, push the hips up and back for our first upside down V. Take your breaths. On your next exhale, bring your feet forward, lift up halfway, fold back down, look through the legs. Inhale brings your hands back up to the top. Taking our side bend from the neck once again, inhale to lift up. Exhale, left hand to right ear. Inhale back up to the sky, exhale, fold forward. Look through the thighs. Inhale to lift up, look up. Exhale, plant the hands, step the feet back. Elbows in tight, open the heart, gaze is up. Tuck the toes, here we go again, downward facing dog. Take your breaths. Step your feet back up to the top of the mat, lift up halfway, fold forward, looking through the thighs. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. We're adding on, friends. Take your side bend to each side of the neck. Sweep the hands back up to the sky, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Plant the hands onto the mat, step or hop your feet to the back of the mat. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, gazes up. Exhale, tucks your toes under and sink the hips back. On your next exhale, bring the feet back to the top of the mat between the hands. Lift up halfway, fold forward, and sweep the arms out and up to the sky. Exhale to fold forward. We're adding on, friends. Inhale, lift halfway. Plant the hands, step or hop the feet back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Tuck the toes under, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Step your right foot forward, spin the back heel down, reach the hands up. Open the fingertips wide. Plant the hands down, step the right foot back, Chaturanga. Exhale, press back into your downward facing dog. Left toes come high, pull it straight forward, spinning that right heel down. Open up the fingertips wide. Reach. Plant the hands down on the mat. My friends, cycle through. Gaze is upward. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Step or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale to lift halfway. Exhale to fold. Hands reach up towards the sky. Add in your neck flexion if you'd like for each side. Inhale, the hands come up, sweep them down. My friends, we have our Surya Namaskara B one more time. Lift the heart, gazes up, tuck the toes. Right toes come straight forward between the hands. Spin the left heel down, reach the fingertips up. Plant the hands, step it back. Right into your downward facing dog, left toes come straight forward, spinning the right heel down. Breathe, my friends. Plant the hands, step it back, Chaturanga. From here, continue taking those nice long exhales. When you're ready, lift the heels, bend the knees, hop the feet forward, lift up halfway, fold, reach to the sky. Folding forward, adding in those neck flexions if you'd like beforehand. Finding your way back down to your mat. Planting the hands, stepping or hopping the feet back, Chaturanga. We have one more round for our Surya Namaskara B. Reach the right toes high. Lift the hands up. Exhale, plant them down, Chaturanga. Each time, feeling more space in the back. Left toes come forward, reach the hands up, back heel spins down. Cycle through our Chaturanga here. Continuing to allow the breath to move you. Find more length through the spine. Exhale, lift the heels, bend the knees, hop to the top of your mat. Inhale brings you back up to standing. Inhale, sweep the hands up overhead, fold forward. We're adding on once again. Lift up, plant the hands, step back, chaturanga. Gaze is up, tuck the toes, look back through the thighs. Get ready. Right toes come high. Take the leg out to the side slightly. We're looking for tension in the hip as we allow it to open. Step through between the hands and allow the back knee to drop. Reach the hands straight up overhead. And then plant the left hand down on the mat, opening the right hand up for your twist. So a low lunge to a twisted lunge. Take both hands down to the mat, lift up, spinning the back heel down, warrior one. Get nice and low through that front heel. Feel the sensation of the inner thighs as they squeeze together and press away at the same time. Open up into your warrior two. Keeping the length in the front thigh as you try and keep the thigh parallel to the ground. Windmill the hands down to the mat, step the feet back, chaturanga. Ready for the left side. Left toes come high. Allow the leg to reach out to the side. Once again, we're looking for that slight uncomfortable pinch in that hip. Maybe bending the knee, taking the heel to the hip. On your exhale, step it all the way through, dropping the back knee down to the mat. Reach the hands up nice and high. Find length, maybe a small back extension here, reaching forward into that front heel. Plant the right hand down, twist. Use the pressure in the right hand to contrast the length in the left fingertips. Lift up using your core. Spin the back heel down, warrior one. Being mindful to press that left knee open, activating the side of that hip. Get ready for warrior two, spinning to the side, still getting nice and low in that front thigh. Gaze is over the front fingertips. Keep breathing. Windmill the hands down, step the left foot back, cycle through. We'll cycle all the way through downward dog, back to the top of the mat. When you're ready, inhale to lift up, exhale to fold forward. Allow your body to either flow through another vinyasa or to simply meet us in downward facing dog. Right toes come high. Once again, we are doing the same thing, but we're adding on this time. So take your hip opener and then step forward for your low lunge, reaching the hands up nice and high. You should be feeling more space this round. Pressing forward through the front leg, reaching through the crown of the head. Exhale, press the left hand down. Once again, the union of opposites here is what we call it. Reaching up and pressing down simultaneously to deepen your twist. Both hands down to the mat. Lift up using your core. Virabhadrasana A. Spinning to the side, warrior two. Keeping the length in the legs and keeping the depth in the front knee. Adding on our first goddess pose. Reach the hands up, press the hips back, open the knees wide. Elbows are wide. Get low in your squat. We are starting to feel the burn. Take your time breathing through this. Lift up, either clasping your hands behind your back or taking your hands to the elbows. Open the heart, gaze up. Exhale to fold all the way forward through the middle of the legs. Some of us might have tighter hamstrings than others. Maybe tighter outer sides of the calves. I tend to call these poses ankle biters. On your exhale, we're lifting up, taking our knees back into a nice deep bend and adding in a twist. So simply taking one elbow and shoulder into the center as we look up over the right shoulder and reversing to the opposite side twist. Exhale, bring your feet a little bit closer together, hands to heart center, and we're sinking down into a super low squat. Allowing those hips to really find some tension. Keep the heart lifted. Gaze upward if you can. When you're ready, lift up. Bring the hands all the way up. Turn your toes to face the front of the mat, reaching those fingertips forward. Tip it over to a triangle pose. Imagine trying to open the right side of your chest and pushing the top of that right hip back. Soft bend in the front knee, not locked, and reach. So press into the shin as you reach. Step back, chaturanga. Getting ready for the opposite side. Left toes come high. Take your hip opener. Step it through to the front of the mat, low lunge. Gaze is up, hands are high. Plant your right hand down onto the mat, twisted low lunge. Each time filling more space, finding more space. Activate your core, squeeze the thighs, lift up, spinning the back heel down. Virabhadrasana A. Pressing through the front heel, lengthening through the back of the back foot, open it up. Virabhadrasana B, or Warrior 2. Gaze over those front fingertips. Turn to the side, goddess pose, reaching the arms out wide, finding that height first. Sink back into the hips. Knees are pressing out, elbows are pressing out. See if you can get a little lower. Feel the quads, the fire in the quads. Press back deeper into the hips. Lengthening your legs, find your bind behind your back, whether it's your hands or your elbows, then open the heart to the sky and fold forward. Allowing those hamstrings to fully lengthen. If you do have your hands bound behind your back, work on pressing them away from the body, truly opening the front of the chest, the front of the shoulders, and squeezing the shoulder blades together. Your exhale brings you upward. Taking another bend into the knees, adding in our twist, twisting over to the left, gaze over the left shoulder, over to the right, gaze over the right shoulder. Moving the feet closer together, bringing the hands to heart center, sinking back, Malasana. Keep your spine nice and tall. Try not to allow your back to fold, so your spine is still nice and long and flat. On your exhale, plant your hands down to the mat. Lift your body back up and turn both toes towards the front. Reach your arms out to the side, tilting forward for your triangle pose. Now, focus on getting your left hip open, and this is going to turn on both sensations here in our core, in the front side and the back. Take both hands down to the mat, chaturanga. And if there's anything about that you think you could have done a little deeper or more space, we get another attempt. Exhale, step or hop the feet forward. Friends, either cycle through a full vinyasa or we will meet back in downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, your right toes come high, open the hip. Your exhale moves you to the front. Inhale, open, gazes up. Exhale, plant your left hand to the inside of the foot, open it up for your twist. Once again, reaching the hips forward, stretching through the front side of those hips. Plant the hands, spin the back heel down, Virabhadrasana A, finding more space. Look how long my feet are on the mat. I'm 5'2". If your feet are closer, lengthen, use that mat. Inhale, open to the back of the mat, reach the hands up high, sink down into your goddess squat. Feet are wide. Challenge yourself here as we get a little deeper. Press the elbows away a little further. Breathing more energy into each fingertip. Find your bind behind your back and tip forward. soften the knees if you can and play with the distribution of weight in your feet. So put all the weight in your heels and then pull forward, put the weight into your toes. And on your exhale, plant the hands down onto the mat. Scoot your feet in a little bit closer, rise up, hands to heart center, sink it back, Malasana. Allow some movement here, maybe shifting into one hip, shifting into the other, and just letting your body do what it needs to do. On your exhale, lift up, point the toes back to the front of the mat, and open up into your triangle pose. Gaze is upwards. Imagine pressing the back side of your right foot into the mat. Exhale forward, chaturanga. Downward facing dog, left toes come high. Open that hip, turn the heel in towards the hip. Exhale, pull forward, low lunge. Take your hand down to the mat, twist. Exhale, lifting up, Virabhadrasana A. Remember, don't allow your stance to narrow. Keep those legs nice and long. Open it up to your warrior two, reaching over those front fingertips. And if you need to push your back foot back a little bit more, go ahead. Take one more breath here and then inhale, reach the hands up high. Turn the toes towards the side wall, bending the hips, pushing them back for goddess pose. See if you can find a little spinal extension here by squeezing the elbows together a little bit further behind the back. And take your bind, either the palms clasping together or still grabbing the elbows and tilt forward. Some of you will notice more space. For me, I couldn't do this at the beginning. So if you didn't try the clasp of the hands, try it. Inhale to lift up, bring the hands to the hips. Walk those feet a little bit closer together and take your twist. Gaze is upward. Exhale, twisting to the opposite side. And inhaling, lifting up, allowing those feet to scoot closer together for our deep, deep Malasana. On your next exhale, lift up, turn the toes to face the front, and tilt over for your triangle pose. Now take notice of where your hand goes. You can place it to the outside of the pinky of the foot or to the inside of the calf. The inside of the calf is going to work more of your core. And when you're ready, cycle through. Once we land in our downward dog, take a breath here. On your exhale, bend the knees, lift the heels, and step or hop your feet to the top of the mat. Taking a full cycle here, inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. We've got our third round, my friends. So do what you can. We are gonna speed up the pace. Take as long or as quickly through the transitions as your breath will allow. Low lunge, twist, Virabhadrasana A, Virabhadrasana B, goddess pose. Clasp the hands behind your back, open the heart, gazes up, tip forward. Remember, try not to lock the knees. Lift up, bend the knees, take your twist to each side. Once again, take as long as you need here. Just allow your breath to move you. Walk the feet in a little closer. Sink down into your squat. As an option here, press your elbows away from the knees. See if you can push that flexibility a little bit. Turn your toes angled towards the front, arms out to the side, tips forward. Imagine your body being in a toaster. So open the front of the chest. Again, taking the option to the hand down to the outside of the foot. Really focus on opening that right side of the chest. Exhale, spin both hands down to the mat, cycle through. Moving on to that opposite side, we do have a surprise on this round, so get ready for it. Exhale, step the foot through the center, low lunge. More length, more space. Last round. Twist. Reach the fingertips up high. Press the hand deep into the mat. Lift up, warrior one. Breathe life through those fingers, my friends. Turn the back heel open, sink deeper into that front leg. Can you turn on the thighs a little bit more? Using the feet to stay active. Open to the side, goddess pose. Our surprise is coming. Pressing those elbows out nice and wide. All right, take your bind, open the heart, and fold forward. So our surprise is a headstand or a tripod prep. So you want your feet as wide as humanly possible on that mat. Take your hands directly in between the feet. Squeeze the elbows together nice and tight, just like you would in chaturanga. At this point, if your flexibility will allow it, your head should be on the mat, and at which point you take one knee to one elbow and the other knee to the other elbow. We'll give you a second to play here. Take all the time you need, meeting the feet back down onto the mat, inhaling to come all the way up. Good job, guys. Step those feet together and sink it down for your twist. Twisting over to the opposite side and meeting the hands back together on the mat, sinking it low for our Malasana squat. Once again, like we did on the other side, imagine pressing away from those knees, using the elbows for a little bit of pressure. Turning the toes towards the front, reaching those hands out nice and wide. Imagine pushing the left hip back and the left shoulder open as you tip forward. Option still to take the hand to the outside of the pinky. Try not to collapse your rib cage though on your thigh. So for me, lifting up out of it, placing my hand on my calf is better. And cycle through. Exhale, meeting back in downward facing dog. We've made it, everybody, to our stretching. So lift the heels up high. Option to take a full vinyasa if you would like to have your heart rate up a little higher. Otherwise, we will meet with our right leg forward for a low runner's lunge. And we've come to the point in our practice today where we are now reaping the benefits of all of our hard work. So we are going to be here for a while. Focus on your breath, and when you want to come out of one of these poses, just remind yourself that everything is temporary and we'll get through this together. Begin bringing some movement in, and we are simply bringing the shin down to the mat and extending that left leg back behind us and folding over the leg. So this isn't necessarily a pigeon pose. We call it sleeping swan. And do what you can here, whether it be your elbows down on the mat or your fists stacked under your forehead. And just like before, we hold. Start allowing some movement to happen as we walk our hands back to the center of our body. And we're moving on to a frog pose. So try and get your heels directly behind your knees so that they're not coming in towards your hips, but a nice straight line from the knees to the ankles. And this one can be super intense, so don't push it. If you can see, I'm trying to do fists. This one's really tight for my hips, so do what you can, whether it's on your elbows or with your hands fully extended, and we melt. Take a moment here and see if you can get a little deeper into the pose, whether that be pressing your knees further away or extending your arms out a little longer. As slow as you need, begin walking the hands back and tucking the toes under. We're going to start the other side. So pushing back into downward dog, reaching the left toes high and pulling forward to our low runner's lunge, which in this pose, in the stretching realm, we reference as dragonfly. And if you didn't notice, on the opposite side, this is another one of those exercises I call the ankle biter. And if you don't feel that, think about pressing into the outside of your foot, so the pinky side of that left foot, and press the knee open, activating that hip. Use this time to see if you can go a little deeper into the pose, maybe taking it down to the elbows, or if you're already down on the elbows, taking your arms, extending them forward. Try and keep the entire foot on the ground and not letting the inside of the sole lift up off the mat. Let your next exhale lift you up and take as much time as you need, transitioning into our sleeping swan on the other side. So keeping the knee tucked in nice and close And some of you will notice a lot more flexibility on one side, or openness rather, and that's completely normal. None of us were born with completely symmetrical muscular systems, or bones for that matter. So just give yourself some grace and simply notice where those imbalances lie. And that gives us opportunity to work on them. Your breath has probably returned to normal by now, and that's fine. But take notice of your breathing pattern, and on your next exhale, we're slowly going to transition back up to the top of the mat in a butterfly position for our final stretch here. Bringing the heels together and pressing the knees open. So what we're doing right here is called yin, or surrender, and it's a series of poses that allow our body to deepen, and they're not necessarily active, so we're not squeezing or using props or pushing. It's just a passive melt into the mat and into your body. Even though I said it's a passive stretch, it doesn't mean it won't have moments of uncomfortable. And in fact, if we don't challenge our muscles, there's no opportunity for change. So it should be a subtle level of uncomfortable. On your next exhale, taking all the time you need, we're transitioning up to a seated position. And taking our legs out to the length of the mat and allowing our spine to roll down into our final resting position, our Savasana. Begin wiggling your fingers and toes and taking your knees over to your right side. And when it makes sense for you, twisting your torso over to the side. And as always, taking however much time you need to meet in a seated position at the top of the mat. I thank you all so much for being with me here today. It's super important for us to take care of our bodies at this time, during this crazy time. And I thank you for giving your body the time and giving your mind the time and working through this yoga class today. Namaste.